There is a profound strength in being alone. Many people spend their lives seeking validation, companionship, and approval from others. They believe that friends, constant communication, and social connections are essential for happiness. But I tell you, true freedom, peace, and power come from within. When you understand why you don't need friends, you unlock a dimension of your life that others will never teach you, a place where your energy is yours alone, untouched and pure. Friends can be wonderful, but they can also become anchors that weigh you down. They can influence your emotions, cloud your judgment, and even limit your growth. When you constantly seek approval or companionship, you surrender part of your power. People often confuse loneliness with weakness, but solitude is a sanctuary for the mind and spirit. It is in these moments of quiet reflection that you discover who you truly are, free from societal pressures, false expectations, and emotional dependencies. When you embrace solitude, you cultivate self-reliance. You learn to solve your own problems, make decisions without needing someone to guide you, and find joy in your own company. Imagine a life where your happiness does not depend on a call, a message, or the presence of someone else. Imagine waking up each morning knowing that you are complete, whole, and enough on your own. This is not arrogance. This is not selfishness. This is enlightenment. Friends can bring joy, but they also bring drama, obligations, and expectations. When you remove the need for friends, you remove unnecessary complexity from your life. You no longer worry about keeping people happy, meeting social demands, or fearing judgment. Your energy is preserved for things that truly matter: your personal growth, your purpose, your inner peace, and your dreams. Every moment you spend worrying about others' approval is a moment stolen from yourself. In solitude, you develop clarity. The noise of other people's opinions fades, and you hear your own voice. You understand your desires, fears, and purpose without distortion. You can pursue your goals with focus, undistracted by the expectations or limitations that others may impose. Your mind becomes sharp, your intuition becomes stronger, and your heart becomes lighter. You no longer rely on others to validate your choices because you are confident in your own truth. Being without friends also teaches discernment. You learn who genuinely adds value to your life versus who drains your energy. True relationships are rare, and when you are self-sufficient, you only welcome those who elevate you, inspire you, and respect your space. No longer do you cling to companionship out of fear or loneliness. Instead, you choose connection consciously, deliberately, and wisely. There's a spiritual dimension to this understanding as well. When you stop needing friends, you stop needing external sources to fill your emptiness. You realize that fulfillment comes from the cultivation of your inner world. Meditation, self-reflection, discipline, and personal mastery become your companions. You begin to understand that the world is a reflection of your inner state. When your inner world is strong, peaceful, and abundant, the external world, whether filled with friends or solitude, no longer defines your happiness. Society will tell you that you need friends to survive, that without them you will be lonely or incomplete. But this is an illusion. The truth is that when you are content in your own company, you are untouchable. You are free, you are powerful, you are no longer dependent on anyone else for emotional stability. And in this freedom, you naturally attract the right people into your life, not out of need, but out of resonance. Those who align with your energy will gravitate toward you, and those who do not will drift away. This is how life naturally balances itself. You must understand this: not needing friends does not mean isolating yourself in bitterness or hate. It means mastering yourself. It means valuing your time, your energy, and your growth above superficial social pressures. It means learning to walk your path alone, confidently, without seeking constant companionship to validate your journey. The more you master your own mind, the more content and fulfilled you become, and the less you depend on the presence of others. In essence, The lesson is simple yet profound. Your life is yours to live, your peace is yours to protect, your happiness is yours to create. When you stop needing friends, you reclaim the most precious gift of all, yourself. You become your own teacher, your own support, and your own source of joy. And in this self-mastery, you discover that life in all its chaos and beauty becomes simpler, richer, and more meaningful. So today, I challenge you to embrace this truth. Reflect on your life. Ask yourself, do I seek friends out of fear, habit, or loneliness? Or do I choose them out of love, respect, and alignment? Start with small moments of solitude. Learn to enjoy being alone. Listen to your thoughts without distraction. Pursue your passions without seeking approval. Discover the immense power that comes from not needing anyone else to complete you. This is not a rejection of others. It is an awakening to the truth that you are already complete. When you understand this, you walk through the world untethered. You are free from dependency, free from unnecessary drama, and free from the weight of expectations. You become like water, fluid, calm, and unstoppable. And in this freedom, the quality of any connection you form will be higher, purer, and more meaningful. Remember, solitude is strength. Independence is power. And when you no longer need friends to validate your existence, you become untouchable. Your life becomes your own masterpiece, painted with the colors of self-awareness, discipline, and inner peace. Others may not understand this path, but that is their journey, not yours. Walk your path and walk it alone, with confidence, clarity, and unwavering strength. This is the secret that few dare to embrace, but those who do discover a life of unparalleled freedom, focus, and joy. So take the first step today. Release the need for validation. Release the fear of being alone. Embrace your inner self fully. And in this embracing, you will find a peace that no friendship, no social approval, and no external source can ever provide. You will find yourself. When you truly understand that you do not need friends to define your life, you unlock an incredible form of freedom. It is not the kind of freedom that comes from doing whatever you want externally, but a deeper internal liberation, a mental and emotional freedom that few ever experience. Many people believe that friendship is necessary for happiness, for comfort, for guidance. They believe that without friends, life would be incomplete, cold, or lonely. Yet in truth, the strongest, most resilient, and most enlightened individuals are those who have learned to thrive without reliance on others. The first step to this freedom is understanding the nature of dependency. When you constantly seek validation, attention, or companionship from others, your mind becomes tethered to external forces. Your emotions are no longer your own. You feel elated when praised, anxious when ignored, and angry when betrayed. This dependency creates an invisible chain, tying your sense of self-worth to the whims, opinions, and behaviors of people around you. The moment you recognize this, you begin to break free. You realize that the true source of emotional stability does not lie in the hands of others, but in your own consciousness. Mental freedom begins when you reclaim your attention. You stop worrying about what others think, stop trying to fit into roles assigned by society, and stop seeking approval for your choices. You begin to see clearly the patterns of your own mind, the fears, the doubts, the tendencies to seek external affirmation. And as you observe these patterns without judgment, you cultivate a sense of inner peace. You no longer react impulsively to social pressures or emotional triggers. Your mind becomes a calm, steady vessel, capable of navigating the turbulence of life without being swept away by it. Emotionally, this independence is equally transformative. When you stop needing friends to feel complete, you free yourself from the roller coaster of attachment. Friendships, though often beautiful, carry expectations. People can disappoint, drift away, or even betray you. When you are dependent on friendship for emotional fulfillment, every loss or conflict becomes a storm that shakes your stability. But when your emotional strength is rooted in yourself, you weather these storms with grace. You can feel sadness, frustration, or disappointment, but you do not collapse. You do not allow the actions of others to dictate your emotional state. This is true mastery over the self. There is also a clarity that comes with this freedom. Without the constant input and influence of others, your mind becomes a clear space where insight, creativity, and discernment can flourish. You make decisions based on your own values and understanding, not on fear of judgment or desire for social approval. Your vision of life becomes sharper. You begin to see relationships not as necessities but as choices. You understand which people enrich your life and which drain it. You learn to invest in connections consciously rather than reactively. This is not to say that you must reject all relationships or live in isolation. The wisdom is in choice. The power is in detachment. You welcome people into your life who align with your energy, who respect your boundaries, and who enhance your growth. But you no longer cling to friendships out of fear, loneliness, or habit. You do not fear being alone because solitude is no longer a punishment. It is a sanctuary. In this sanctuary, your mind rests, your heart heals, and your soul strengthens. Consider this. When you are free from the need for friendship, you also free your energy, time, attention, and emotional effort that would have been spent worrying about others or pleasing them can now be directed toward your own development. You can focus on learning, meditating, creating, and growing. You can explore the depths of your own mind and spirit without distraction. You discover passions, cultivate skills, and build resilience in ways that would be impossible when constantly tethered to the expectations of friends. This freedom also fosters profound self-confidence. When you rely solely on yourself for emotional support, guidance, and validation, you learn to trust your own judgment. You develop an unshakable sense of self. You no longer need others to affirm your worth because you are certain of it from within. This confidence radiates outward. People will notice it, even if they cannot define it. You become magnetic, not because of charm or charisma, but because of the quiet, unmovable strength that comes from self-reliance. Spiritually, the liberation from dependency opens doors to self-realization. When your happiness is no longer contingent on others, you begin to explore the inner dimensions of life. Meditation, reflection, and mindfulness are no longer tasks. They become natural states of being. You see the impermanence of external attachments, the fleeting nature of human opinions, and the ultimate importance of your own consciousness. In this awareness, you discover peace that is untouched by circumstance, joy that is unshakable, and wisdom that is profound. To walk this path, start small. Embrace moments of solitude. Observe your mind when it craves companionship or approval. Notice the discomfort and sit with it without judgment. Engage in practices that strengthen your self-awareness, journaling, meditation, physical discipline, and learning. Slowly the dependency fades. You realize that your mind is your true home, and in that home you are never lonely, never weak, and never incomplete. Mental and emotional freedom is a gift that comes only to those brave enough to face themselves. When you stop needing friends, you step into a world where your energy is preserved, your choices are your own, and your peace is untouchable. Life becomes simpler yet richer, quieter yet infinitely deeper, and in this silence, this independence, you find power. A power not given to you by the world but awakened from within. So today, understand this truth. You do not need friends to define your life, your worth, or your happiness. You are complete as you are. Your mind is a fortress. Your heart is a sanctuary. And in this self-reliance, you discover the freedom that all beings seek, yet few attain. Walk this path consciously. Protect your energy. Honor your solitude. And in doing so, you will uncover a clarity, peace, and strength that cannot be taken from you by anyone, friend or foe. There is a subtle energy that flows within every human being, a vibration that carries the essence of your spirit. Most people expend this energy unconsciously, giving it away to distractions, to worries, to obligations, and often to friends. Yes, friends can be wonderful companions, but every relationship carries energy, every conversation, every expectation, every moment of trying to please someone drains your life force in ways you may not even realize. When you understand the power of not needing friends, you reclaim this energy, you begin to cultivate a personal field of strength, calm, and spiritual alignment. Many people fail to see that energy is the foundation of life. Your thoughts, emotions, and interactions are all forms of energy. When you rely on friends for validation or emotional support, you tie a part of your energy to theirs. Their mood affects yours. Their opinions influence your decisions. Their presence or absence can destabilize your inner world. But when you free yourself from this need, your energy becomes your own. You become grounded, anchored, and unshakable. You carry a quiet magnetism because your presence is unborrowed. It belongs entirely to you. Spiritually, the journey of solitude opens doors that friendship often obscures. Most people seek external connections to feel whole, believing that without them they are incomplete. Yet true wholeness has always existed within. When you release the need for friends, you return to the source of your own power, the essence of your consciousness. Meditation, reflection, and spiritual practices become not just disciplines, but natural extensions of your being. You start to feel the subtle energies of life, the rhythms of your body, the flow of your breath, the quiet guidance of your intuition. This is the spiritual freedom that solitude grants. Energy also has direction and focus. When you are free from social dependencies, your energy can be redirected toward growth, creation, and purpose. Every thought and every action becomes intentional. You no longer waste energy navigating drama, managing expectations, or responding to emotional turbulence created by others. Instead, your energy flows directly into your work, your passions, and your inner development. This is how leaders, visionaries, and masters of life cultivate their power through conscious, undivided attention. Another profound effect of not needing friends is clarity of spirit. When the mind is free from the noise of social comparison, from gossip, or from fear of rejection, insight emerges effortlessly. You begin to perceive the truth of situations and people without distortion. Your choices are guided not by attachment or fear, but by the wisdom of your inner self. You no longer act from desperation for acceptance, you act from alignment with your values and purpose. This clarity is a kind of spiritual vision. It allows you to see life not as a chaotic web of social obligations, but as a harmonious path where every step is intentional. The energetic dimension is also critical. Every person you interact with carries their own vibration. Some energies uplift, others drain. When you are dependent on friends for happiness or comfort, you inadvertently allow their energy to influence yours. Over time, this creates internal imbalance, stress, and emotional fatigue. But when you learn to stand alone, you develop an energetic immunity, you protect your vibration, you preserve your life force, and in doing so, you create an aura of calm confidence and presence that others cannot imitate or disrupt. Furthermore, solitude strengthens your spiritual intuition. When you are alone, without constant input or influence, you start to hear the subtle whispers of your soul. You recognize patterns, feel the flow of life, and sense opportunities or dangers before they manifest externally. Your decisions are no longer reactive, they are proactive, guided by a deep inner knowing. This is the kind of wisdom that comes only when you learn to stand on your own, when you no longer seek external validation or advice for every small step in life. It is important to understand that this path does not reject friendship entirely, rather it teaches discernment. Friends become optional, not essential. Relationships are no longer born from fear, neediness, or emptiness. They are born from alignment, respect, and shared growth. You choose companions not because you require them to feel complete, but because they enhance your journey. And because you are whole in yourself, every connection you have is pure, balanced, and conscious. There is also a profound peace that emerges from this understanding. When you no longer need friends to define your existence, the mind settles, the heart rests. Anxiety, jealousy, and insecurity fade because they are rooted in dependence. Instead, you experience a serene confidence. You walk through life with the awareness that your value is inherent, your energy is yours, and your spirit is untouchable. In this serenity, challenges are no longer threats, they are opportunities for growth, practice, and self-mastery. Spiritually, this path aligns you with universal principles. You begin to understand impermanence, not as a fear but as liberation. People come and go, circumstances change, and life flows. When your happiness is independent of friendship or external approval, you navigate these changes effortlessly. You are like a river, moving steadily, gracefully, and powerfully, unaffected by obstacles, yet shaping everything it touches through your presence and energy. Finally, embracing the spiritual and energetic benefits of not needing friends leads to empowerment. You become the source of your own joy, strength, and guidance. You cultivate an inner sanctuary that no one can invade, a mind that cannot be shaken, and a heart that cannot be corrupted. Your life becomes a reflection of your inner mastery, and in this mastery, you attract the right people, opportunities, and experiences, not because you seek them, but because your energy naturally resonates with what is aligned with your path. So today, recognize this truth. Not needing friends is not a sign of weakness. It is the highest form of freedom. It is a spiritual awakening, an energetic mastery, and a declaration of self-sovereignty. Your energy, your mind, and your spirit are yours alone. Protect them, cultivate them, and in doing so, you will walk through life untouchable, radiant, and profoundly alive. Embrace solitude. Harness your energy, align with your spirit, and remember, when you no longer need friends to define your existence, you become unstoppable. When you stop needing friends, your life changes in ways that are practical, tangible, and deeply transformative. It is easy to speak of freedom, energy, and spirituality, but these concepts manifest in the real world in powerful ways. Your time, attention, and decisions become your own. You become strategic in how you invest your energy, disciplined in how you spend your moments, and uncompromising in your pursuit of personal excellence. This is the kind of empowerment that comes only when you release dependency on others. The first practical benefit is the management of time. Friends, while often enjoyable, demand attention, conversation, and social energy. Invitations, messages, and obligations pile up, often consuming hours or days without meaningful results. When you no longer need friends to validate or entertain yourself, you reclaim this time. Every hour becomes an opportunity for self-growth, for mastering skills, for working toward your goals, and for cultivating experiences that genuinely enrich your life. You stop living in reactive mode and start living proactively, consciously, and intentionally. Another practical transformation is financial empowerment. Social interactions, outings, and gatherings often carry expenses, sometimes subtle, sometimes explicit. When you are dependent on friendships, you may feel obligated to spend money to maintain connections or social status. When you stop needing friends, you remove these pressures. Your resources are freed for investment in your growth, learning, travel, health, or projects that align with your purpose. You become financially independent in more ways than one because your decisions are guided by priorities, not social demands. Mental clarity is another gift. When you are not constantly negotiating social dynamics, you make decisions with sharper focus. Your mind is clear because it is unburdened by constant comparison, envy, or concern over others' perceptions. Every choice you make, career moves, personal habits, lifestyle changes is grounded in your values and needs, not in the fear of missing out or the desire to please. This clarity leads to more effective problem solving, better planning, and more consistent progress in all areas of life. Being independent from friends also empowers your health and well-being. Emotional strain from social drama, conflict, or disappointment can manifest physically as stress, anxiety, and fatigue. When you release the need for external validation, your nervous system stabilizes. You feel lighter, calmer, and more in control. Your body and mind can operate at peak capacity because your energy is not scattered or drained by the demands and expectations of others. You start to notice improvements in focus, productivity, and even creativity. On a practical level, not needing friends enhances your personal boundaries. Many people suffer because they allow others to overstep, manipulate, or take advantage of their time and energy. When you are self-reliant, you naturally cultivate boundaries that protect your energy. You no longer feel guilty for saying no or for prioritizing yourself. This is an essential skill for anyone seeking mastery in life: to respect yourself enough to protect your resources, focus, and peace. Independence also develops resilience. Life is unpredictable. Friends may leave, betray, or disappoint. Circumstances change. When you have relied on friendships for emotional support, these moments can feel devastating. But when your strength comes from within, you face challenges with steadiness and courage. You no longer crumble when people fail you because you are your own source of stability. This resilience allows you to tackle obstacles that others cannot, to make tough decisions that others avoid, and to walk alone without fear or hesitation. Your personal growth accelerates. Time spent in self-reflection, practice, learning, and disciplined action yields exponential results. When you are free from the distraction of social dynamics, your mind has the space to process, to innovate, and to refine your skills. You notice patterns in life, uncover deeper truths, and align your daily actions with long-term goals. In essence, the absence of need creates focus. Focus creates mastery. Mastery creates power. Relationships, when chosen consciously, become more meaningful. Because you are no longer dependent, you do not tolerate toxicity, manipulation, or unnecessary drama. You connect with people on your terms, with intention, and with clarity. Every interaction becomes conscious, genuine, and mutually empowering. You learn that quality outweighs quantity in relationships, and in doing so, you attract people who respect your energy, honor your time, and inspire your growth. Even in professional life, the independence gained from not needing friends is transformative. You no longer rely on networking out of fear of missing opportunities. You work, perform, and lead from competence, vision, and integrity. Your influence is earned, not borrowed. Your leadership is authentic because it is not dependent on popularity or social approval. You navigate your career with strategy, self-confidence, and clarity that only self-reliance can provide. The essence of this keynote is simple yet powerful. When you do not need friends, you reclaim your life, you reclaim your energy, your time, your money, your emotional stability, and your focus. You become free to pursue what truly matters. You are empowered to live deliberately, to grow unbounded, and to operate at your highest potential. Solitude is not a punishment, it is a tool. It is the foundation of mastery in every dimension of life: mental, emotional, spiritual, and practical. So today, consider the choices you make with your energy. Consider where you invest your time, attention, and emotion. Free yourself from unnecessary obligations, from dependency, and from the fear of being alone. Walk your path with confidence, prioritize yourself without guilt, protect your energy with discipline and wisdom, and in this way, you will not only live independently, you will thrive. You will become a force of focus, clarity, and unshakable strength in a world that constantly seeks to pull your energy away. Mastery. Freedom and empowerment are not found in the approval of others. They are discovered in the courage to stand alone. And when you embrace this truth, you will move through life untethered, powerful, and fully aligned with your purpose. When you fully embrace the truth that you do not need friends, your life undergoes a profound transformation, not just emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, but at the very core of your existence. This is a philosophy, a way of living, a conscious choice to honor yourself above all external influences. It is not a path of isolation, fear, or bitterness. It is a path of mastery, freedom, and self-realization. Those who walk it discover a life that is richer, clearer, and more powerful than any life dependent on external validation. The first transformation is in your understanding of relationships. You begin to see connections not as necessities, but as choices. You recognize that most friendships are formed out of convenience, habit, or emotional dependency, and not all are aligned with your growth or purpose. When you release the need for friends, you stop attaching your happiness, confidence, or self-worth to others. You see that your value is inherent, your completeness is innate, and your joy is self-generated. In this awareness, every relationship becomes conscious, deliberate, and meaningful. You engage with people who elevate your energy, inspire your growth, and respect your space, and you release those who drain or distract. This philosophy also transforms your inner dialogue. When you are dependent on friendships for validation, your mind is often cluttered with worry, doubt, and comparison. Do they like me? Did I say the right thing? Am I enough? These questions consume your mental space, but when you free yourself from the need for external approval, your mind becomes clear, focused, and unshakable. You begin to trust yourself fully. You make decisions based on your intuition, your principles, and your understanding of the world, not based on fear of judgment or desire for acceptance. This clarity of thought creates a profound sense of calm and purpose that others who are entangled in social dependency rarely experience. Another transformation is in your emotional resilience. Life is unpredictable. People change, circumstances shift, and events unfold beyond your control. If your emotional stability depends on friends, every loss, conflict, or betrayal can feel devastating. But when your strength comes from within, you are steady through the storms. You feel, you acknowledge, but you do not collapse. You learn to navigate life with composure and grace, knowing that your inner world is untouchable. Your emotions no longer dictate your actions. You master them, allowing them to serve rather than control you. Spiritually, this philosophy deepens your connection with yourself and the universe. In solitude, you are confronted with your thoughts, fears, and desires. You explore the depths of your mind and soul. You discover the impermanence of attachment, the illusion of dependence, and the power of presence. Meditation, reflection, and self-awareness become natural states, not tasks. You begin to align your actions with the rhythms of life, understanding that happiness, peace, and purpose are cultivated internally, not borrowed externally. This is a liberation that few achieve, yet it is accessible to anyone willing to embrace self-reliance. Practically, this transformation manifests in mastery over your life. Your time, energy, and resources are protected and invested wisely. You are no longer pulled in multiple directions by social obligations or emotional entanglements. You focus on growth, productivity, and purpose. Your priorities become clear. Every action, every thought, and every decision aligns with your long-term vision. You achieve more, experience more, and contribute more because your energy is concentrated, intentional, and undistracted. Your personal power also increases. When you do not need friends to validate your existence, your presence becomes magnetic. People are drawn to your confidence, calmness, and clarity. You are not seeking attention, yet your energy commands respect. You become a leader of yourself, and naturally a model for others. This is true influence. It is not demanded, it is emanated. The more self-reliant you become, the more your life embodies the principles of discipline, integrity, and mastery. On a deeper level, this philosophy teaches the art of detachment. Detachment is not indifference, it is freedom. You engage with life fully, but without clinging to outcomes or people. You love, you connect, you contribute, but your joy and peace are never dependent on external factors. This detachment is liberating. It allows you to move through life lightly, to act with intention, and to experience the world without being burdened by fear, need, or insecurity. Finally, this philosophy transforms the way you perceive your purpose. When you are not seeking validation from friends or society, your actions are aligned with your true calling. You pursue goals that resonate with your soul, not those imposed by expectation. Your vision is unhindered by doubt or distraction. You recognize that the most profound work, the most meaningful life, and the deepest satisfaction come from self-mastery, not social approval. You become the architect of your destiny, the guardian of your energy, and the master of your mind. So, embrace this life philosophy. Release the need for friends to define your worth, honor your energy, protect your solitude, and cultivate self-reliance. Understand that happiness, peace, and power reside within you, not outside of you. Walk your path consciously. Make every decision from clarity, not fear. Strengthen your mind, heart, and spirit with discipline and intention. And in doing so, you will transform not just your life, but your entire existence. When you live by this philosophy, life becomes a reflection of your mastery. Your mind is calm, your heart is strong, your energy is intact, and your purpose is clear. You will discover that true freedom is not external, it is born from standing alone, unshakable, complete, and profoundly alive. This is the ultimate transformation that comes from self-reliance, the highest reward of understanding that you do not need friends to define, sustain, or complete your life.